everyone. My name is Haley, and it's great to be with you all today, no matter what day it is or where you're coming from to tune in for this workshop. Welcome. Like I said, my name is Haley, and today we're going to be talking about some New Year's goals. And so this is a all too familiar thing with probably most of us. And this year, the only difference between this year and all the years before that you've set New Year's resolutions is that this year you're going to make it happen. This is the year that you're going to accomplish those New Year's goals. Why? Because you're going to hear at this workshop. So it's a really great thing that you're going to learn and put into practice, hopefully, and also reach out if you have any questions. And so we'll just get started here. We'll dive right in. Our learning outcomes for this. So we're just keeping it simple, short and sweet. 3 things we're going to learn. The first is the 3 steps towards high level wellness. You're going to learn the 3 steps on how to get to a degree of high level wellness that you haven't been at before. And we're going to talk about how that standard raises as time goes on, and hopefully you continue to climb towards that ever, just that thing that's always ahead. You're always raising your standard with that. And your second thing is we're going to set up a goal, how to set up a goal that actually works. And so there's goals that you can set up yourself, and then there's goals that are actually going to work. And so hopefully you haven't had too many of these related occurrences, but all of us can probably say that we have set out to achieve a goal and then we have failed that goal. And we're going to figure out, why and what we need to do to make sure that what we do and what we do setting a goal going forward actually works. And then that third one is going to be some effective questions that can get you closer to accomplishing your goal. These are questions that often people don't have the answers to. And so knowing those answers is going to set you apart from other people. And so we'll just get started with a little bit of my background, just so if you haven't tuned into a workshop of mine before and you don't know who I am, like I said, my name is Haley, and I'm coming to you from a double bachelor degree in kinesiology and health and nutritional science, so exercise and food, to put it in layman's terms. I have loved both of them for as long as I can remember. I've been very fascinated by them and how they work together with us as humans. Both of them have to exist together and work together to make some awesome things happen. And then in college, I achieved my group exercise instructor certification. And so this is like kind of how I took a step further in like wanting this to be a part of my career. The American Council on Exercise recognizes these certifications. A couple years after I was doing group exercise classes, I got into realizing more that I'm better and I really like more working with one-on-one with people. And so that's what led me to a personal trainer certification. And that has just been really awesome to have ever since. It's been a great time. But just about 2 years ago, I obtained my health coach certification. And so a lot of people ask, well, like, why this? Because it's different than the group exercise and the personal training certification. It's definitely something that is set apart from the others because it's a lot broader and it's a lot newer. And so often people ask, like, why did you get this? And it did come from training clients. And so for a short story here, what I would often experience with clients is that they always seem to be 3 or 4 steps ahead of where they actually needed to be. And what I mean by that is like they wanted a trainer, they wanted someone to help them with exercise and to get them stronger, to get them feeling better, looking better, and all that stuff. And with me, they were doing that in their sessions, and that was great. But there never seemed to be something with a lot of clients, some of them, there never seemed to be this coming together of everything where they were successful in their sessions with me, which was always happening, but then they couldn't do stuff that we were doing together. They couldn't do it outside of one of our sessions, or oftentimes they would cancel a session because multiple times. So then all of a sudden it's been weeks since they've trained, and I would get to asking like, well, who or why or how, and oftentimes I would just kind of listen and interpret like this person is needing a trainer, but right now it's not how their time and money would be best spent because they've got all these other things in the way of getting them to where they want to be exercise wise. Who can help them start right back down at the very beginning to set them on that path that's more effective, that's going to get them to where they want to go? Who can do that? And so after doing a lot of research, health coach is what came up. And so health coaching is kind of setting you on that right track. Oftentimes, people, when they set a goal, they're like, well, I'm going to do this because I know I need to improve on it. And that's really great. It's good to be aware of what you need to improve on. But the way you go about that might not be the best way. Why? Because maybe it's something you have a hard time fitting into your schedule. Maybe it's something that doesn't work well with whatever your life is right now. Maybe there's a few other things you have to get out of the way first, like some barriers or whatnot, because that is what's getting in the way of you actually being able to accomplish this goal. There could be a wide variety of things. And so a health coach helps you do that. They help you get back on that path. They get you to where you need to go in the quickest, most effective and efficient way possible. And the best part is that you're in the driver's seat. They are not. They're in the passenger seat helping you out as you go along. You're in charge of the whole road trip, if you will. And so with that, this picture I'm going to refer back to a lot. And if you've seen my other workshops, then you've also seen this picture. But we're going to focus on these 3 steps right here the most. And so these 3 steps right here are awareness, education, and growth. You see that those 3 steps lead you to high level wellness. So there's your first learning outcome right there. You've learned the 3 steps to get towards a higher level of wellness. So for today, we're all going to start off at this neutral point here. Doesn't matter how advanced or how, beginner you are with anything that we're going to talk about in achieving our high level wellness. Everyone's going to start off at this neutral point, and we are going to move through these steps together. And those steps and those actions are going to look differently in your head. I'm talking to a very general audience right now, a very unknown audience since this is a recording. But hopefully you take some of these things in this presentation and just pay attention to the things that stick with you, that you feel help you the most, that you feel helps you kind of break through, like, that is what was missing in helping me achieve this goal that I've always been wanting to do, whatever that might be. So yeah, those are those 3 steps right here: awareness, education, and growth. We're starting off here. We're going to move towards awareness. And so becoming aware of the habit that you would like to change is the first step. Naturally, if you tell yourself, well, I want to be healthier, I want to get in shape, what do you need to get in shape? Like, what's lacking? That would be a question there. Is it your diet? Is it your exercise? Is it both? Is it something else? We don't know. We have to become more aware of what it is. And so here we are on this first step here, this first step to achieving high level wellness. And part of this awareness is we have to be aware of what we're talking about. So when a health coach is approaching you, you have to know what they're looking for. You have to understand where they're coming from. And where they're coming from is these 8 dimensions of wellness. They're not just looking at you from a exercise and diet standpoint, what's that like? Although those are 2 important things, they're looking at you from all 8 dimensions of wellness here. They're saying to themselves, is this person well in all of these? Are they doing okay in all of these? And if not, what do we need to fix first? What does this client want to fix first? What do they want to improve upon? And that's all up to you, like I said earlier. So they're not just looking, again, like they're not just zoning in on one problem or another, because the reason that you might not be able to develop a regular exercise routine, let's say, is because you have a lot of occupational stress going on. So like work is really hindering your life in getting you to the gym or giving you time to go to the gym, for example. And so we got to take care of that first, right? That makes natural sense there. We can get a trainer and we can sign up for a gym and we can do all of that stuff, and that's great. But if you can't actually get there because work is the problem and we need to figure out how work doesn't have to be the problem anymore, then you just wasted all that time and money. And so that's kind of how a health coach is approaching that. And they can help you with any of these areas of wellness. And so we're going to do a little activity here. Again, if you've been on my workshops before, I always like to throw this in if I can, because I think it's a really helpful thing. It's definitely been helpful with a lot of my clients. If you've done this before with me, good time to do it again, because as I've said before, this is always something good to come back to and reevaluate yourself on. But if it's your first time, welcome. This is hopefully a very fun activity for you, a very beneficial activity to help you become more aware of how your wellness is doing. So what you're going to do here is you can pause this video also to give yourself more time as well. But what you're going to do is you're going to copy out these drawings here. Now, if you really don't want to draw the circle, if you're not the artsy type, that's fine. Just write all the words down on a piece of paper and leave some space next to each one of those words. However you want to do this. But on each of these either circles or these lines in the circles, or again, next to your word, you are going to think of a number between 1 and 10 based on how you feel each aspect of your wellness is doing. And so as you can see in these examples here, this person feels that their social wellness on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being closer to the center of the circle, 10 being further out to the outside of the circle, they feel like it's probably like a 7 or 8, which is pretty good, I would say. And again, it's all up to their interpretation. Over here, this on the right, these are the 6 aspects of physical wellness that I focus the most on. And you can see that nutrition and physical activity are in there because again, that's kind of what the things we notice the most. We notice that our exercise isn't good or our nutrition isn't good, energy is low, you're not sleeping a lot, you're thirsty, you can tell you don't drink enough water, or stress. So think of this as stress management here. How well do you manage your stress no matter how little or how much you have? This person, I perceive they perceive that they have very low stress management skills. And so that would be why they put that X closer to the center of the circle. So again, pause this video if you want to kind of give yourself time to do this. Really think hard. Don't feel rushed to do this. This is something that is about how you're feeling right here and right now. It's not about how you felt yesterday with it or how you might feel in like a week after some things kind of, sort out and get out of the way. It's about right here, right now. What do you feel that is? So you can pause the video or I am going to keep going here. Um, the second step to this is drawing a little shape with all of your dots or your X's that you've made with this circle. And so you can see I put an example here. And so while you're doing that, uh, what I want you to do is kind of hone in here on the couple of things that we can get from this wellness wheel check. So it's like, well, what's the point of doing this? Why does Haley have someone do this to become more aware? Well, number one, for this example in particular, we can see that it's kind of, zigzagged. It's all in and out, right? I look at that and I see immediately what I want to ask as the health coach is to that person. All right, so tell me about your occupational wellness, your financial wellness, and your emotional wellness. Are they related? Are they independent of each other? What's going on there? It also gives the client to see kind of like, oh, whoa, maybe I'm not doing as well as I thought I was in my overall wellness. And so that kind of gets them thinking like, oh, wait, yeah, like work has been really, stressful. And I feel like the holiday season has been really stressful on like my finances. So I feel like I don't have time to, pay for this or that thing that I know will help me kind of get towards that, that wellness goal or that high level wellness goal that I have, whatever it might be. You never know with a person. Again, it's a very broad topic. We're talking about someone's overall wellness. But it's a great conversation starter at the end of it all. It's a great conversation starter with the health coach and the client here. And so either your shape probably looks something like this or something like this. It's a very rough circle that I drew. Don't judge. But essentially what we're trying to accomplish here, what I'm trying to illustrate to you is that this is the client that, like let's say all of this is like a 7 or 8 out of 10. That's a pretty good standing. Everything is good. There's nothing wrong, but there's nothing, super great. This These are the two results that I often get with clients. So with this one, uh, obviously with this first one here, we have a lot of work to do, right? You can tell where work is needed, and hopefully, as time goes on, this shape changes, right? The circle fills out a little bit more. The shape becomes less geometrical, maybe a little more like all even throughout. But for this one, someone sees that and they're like, oh, well, I'm fine. Nothing's like super low. And what I challenge that client to think about is, but how can it be better? What is that high level wellness that we're aiming for next? And maybe that's the first step in becoming aware, is realizing like, oh, well, I'm good, but I'm not great. Because is the good that you have right now, is that good going to be is that going to be good in 30 years from now as you age and your health deteriorates, and things get a little bit harder? So we always want to be aiming for that great high level wellness, because as we get older, life does get harder. We age, we get a little slower, things start to break down a little bit more. It's not easy to do things like we used to do. And hopefully right now, when we spend your years in good health, in great health, when you've kind of got time on your side, then hopefully you spend these years uh, working towards those great goals. That way, when you're always striving for something great, then that age or that one hit in your life won't hit you as hard, in terms of your health, in terms of your wellness, at whatever age that might be. That's different for everybody. But that would be something I would challenge the client for, something that a shape that looks like this is, that's good, that's awesome, but how can it be great? What can we move towards there? And so next step in this is going to be education. We're going to teach you how to set up a habit successfully. And because knowing how to do that at the start is going to be the next step. Great, you're aware on what needs to be worked on. Okay, how do we fix it? What do we do? And so here we are on that second step right here, climbing towards that high level wellness. And it might be really obvious, but then it might be really simple, but SMART goals are the thing that health coaches use the most. They might not tell you that they're using it, but it's the way I get my clients to talk. So let's use the occupational, the example back here. This person's occupational stress was pretty low, right? So let's say the client wants to talk about occupational stress. That's great. We are going to, get the conversation going. We're aware that this is what we need to work on. But now I'm going to ask them, okay, so what is the stress? Or how is it affecting your work life? um, what do you want to do to fix it? Because it's not going to be, oh, I'm the health coach, I know everything about your life, so this is what we're going to do to take that stress away. It might not be something that is going to work for you for whatever reason. Maybe I'd say, oh, well, you should take a walk, every 10 minutes to relieve that stress. Well, you might not have time in your workday to do that. Maybe sitting at your desk and meditating is better. So health coaches are always going to direct the questions to you. It's always going to be about you answering something, and this is kind of what they're going through in their minds, whether you realize it or not. So they're asking you the specifics of, like, what do you want to change, how do you want to change it, when should we go about doing this, what in your day, let's go back to the occupational stress. Okay, so like, what time in your day works best to meditate? Let's say you want to meditate at your desk. Okay, so how often, for how long? That's kind of getting into the measurable too, of, well, how often are we going to do this? Is it going to be, every day? Is it going to be every other day? How often in a day are we going to do this? How long? Things like that. You want to get very specific and measurable with your goal, instead of, well, I'll just meditate every day and that's how I'll take away the stress. You need to have more specifics. Just naturally more specifics, and having that goal that is more distinct is naturally going to help you stick to it more. Because if we don't have any parameters to go off of, if we don't have anything to aim for, then how do we know, like, this is really working? And eventually also, like, without any of that specific direction, we kind of forget about it, and we're less likely to do something that we actually said we were going to do. So attainable and realistic are the next two that health coaches kind of like to hit. And this is more just like questions of your life, of just like, well, okay, so when is it attainable to do this in your workday, to meditate, let's say? And how realistic is it to meditate for a minute or 10 minutes or a half hour? It just depends on that person, right? And so we want to make sure that those time and those specifics that we're giving someone is attainable, that they can do it, and that it's realistic. So not only can they do it, like, do they want to do it, but is it realistic to their schedule in their life? So those are the kind of the two that go together in my mind as well. And then time oriented, we want to have a cap on this, right? We want to make sure that we are checking in with this, because what happens, we lose track. We start off the new year and we say, all right, well, I'm just going to exercise more every day, and pretty soon it's December 31st of the same year, and oh my gosh, like, I didn't do that. I didn't exercise every day. I never checked in. And so I always ask my clients that. I always ask them, you know, when do you want me to check in with you? When are we going to check back in to see how this is doing? Because maybe the SMART goal that we've developed for this meditation goal, maybe actually it's more realistic to meditate for 2 minutes 5 times a day versus one time for 10 minutes a day. They like spreading out that 2 minute meditation. It really helps them a lot more, they realize. And they wouldn't know that if someone didn't check back in with them, after a couple of weeks, after a month, things like that. And then as an added bonus, what is good to, again, this is all stuff that I try to do for my clients, but this is stuff that you can do for yourself as well. If you're trying to build this on your own at home, is make sure that you have a way to keep track of data. So, and this can go into the specifics or maybe the measurable, but you're keeping track of data. And so I tell someone, well, how will I know from you that you've done this every single day, or that you've done this every other day, like you've said? And a lot of answers vary. It's like, oh, well, that's easy. I'll put a star on every day in the calendar that I did this. Or, oh, I journal every day, so that's really easy to write that down that I did that. Okay, check. Um, it's really dependent on a lot of people, but have a way to keep the data, because when your health coach comes back and asks you, hey, how have you been feeling with this occupational stress, this goal that we've been trying to work on for work, how has that been going? How have you been feeling? And you look back and you see and you say, like, oh, like, I felt really good. I feel like I have a really great hold on work now. Things have really, like, settled down. The stress has been taken away. Oh, and look, I meditated every day that I said I would these past 2 weeks. And so that that's like a direct correlation there. That's a really great thing for a client to realize. It's a good thing for a health coach to keep track of, but even more importantly, it's good for you to realize this, because then you make that connection of, oh, I did this and I got this result and I really like this result, and that's awesome. Now it's also a good way to see, have you actually been keeping track of it? Or maybe you meditated every day, but that's not really what's bothering you. The stress is still there, whatever it might be. Okay, so how can we go about changing this? What can we do differently? Is there anything that, we can change or modify here? And that's why a good time oriented goal is a part of it all. And so from there, as we continue to do this, now you know how to build a goal that's actually going to work, that's going to set you up for success. We're going to talk about the doing part, right? And so that part is a little more, again, that's going to kind of branch off into everybody's different ways and paths individually. And so I won't get into the specifics about, oh, what that path to growth looks like, because it's going to be different. But life is ever changing, and we know that. And also with that, our health and wellness can be, if something really big happens in our life, we move. Well, things can feel out of sorts now. It's like, okay, well, I haven't been able to meal prep because I have no food in my fridge. I just moved. I don't know where the neighborhood gym is, so I got to find that first. So it's understandable to that things kind of get thrown up in the air when a big life change happens, but we always want to strive for that net positive growth. So I don't know where my neighborhood gym is yet, and I'm going to find it soon. But until then, I'm going to make sure I'm still drinking water. I'm going to make sure that, that lunch that I'm going to order to go, I'm going to make sure it's from a healthier place maybe than, this fast food chain or something like that. Always striving for that net positive growth, seeing what you can control in your life. So obviously moving is chaos and there's things that are going to fall apart, but what isn't going to fall apart that can be in your control? Again, how much you drink water, or how much sleep you get, things like that. And so here we are at that growth, and again, we're achieving that high level wellness. And as we go throughout our journey with this, hopefully this line right here, this finish line, right, hopefully that keeps jumping ahead of us. I talked about earlier raising the standard on your high level wellness, especially if you were one of those clients that had like a circle for their wellness meal check. How do we continue to raise the standard? I always like to use, for example, we all know that just because you exercise once, you're not healthy or in shape for the rest of your life. You have to keep doing it. This is something that is going to be lifelong. And so these goals that we construct in the right way, it's not only going to be something you actually accomplish, but it's going to be sustainable. We're learning how to create sustainable, lifelong, lasting goals there. And that is the most important thing of it all. Oftentimes we go out to accomplish a goal, and it's something we can't maintain. It's something we can't do or do all at the same time. Humans are not great multitaskers, no matter what you say about that. We really aren't. There's science to prove that as well. But this is how we think about achieving that high level wellness, is like one thing at a time. How do we continue to raise the standard one thing at a time? I like to use the example of brushing your teeth. So hopefully, again, this is not a live audience, but you can answer this for yourself. How many of you have the same routine for like oral hygiene as you did when you were 5 years old? And hopefully none of you would say yes to that. Like, yes, I still am the same as I was when I was 5. Because at 5 years old, you probably weren't even brushing your teeth every day, and that's kind of gross. So at 5 years old, you were told maybe, oh yeah, it's time to start brushing your teeth. Why? Because it's good for you. Now you're educated on why it's important. You're aware that you need to do it. Okay, now you're brushing your teeth every day as you get older. All of a sudden, one day you go to the dentist, you're a certain age, you're like, oh, maybe you should start brushing twice a day. Okay, why? Now I'm aware of why I need to, and they've told me why it's important. And okay, now I'm brushing my teeth every day. You throw in the floss twice a day, maybe a mouth rinse, things like that. What I'm trying to get to is that this level of high level wellness here, this standard, is raised as your life went on with brushing your teeth. It got more complicated. Why? Because you could take that on and you could continue to make it more complicated as life went on, as you continue to establish that habit, and you went through this phase of awareness, education, and growth, actually trying it, and things like that. And so you all can reflect on your oral hygiene journey at a later time. But that's always a good one I like to use. It's something that everyone can relate to in terms of how that journey grows and how that high level wellness is always jumping ahead of you. So we're never quite there. We always want to strive for something more. And so the one thing, one of the last things I want to finish on is basically like, okay, so what do I do now, Haley? I've done all of, I've listened to this presentation. You've thrown a lot at me. You know, some things are sticking, and that's really great. And that's awesome. I hope you're thinking some of those things. But the last thing I want to leave you with is the question of like what to do now. Know these answers. That is what to do now. The top three I want to highlight first, and then I'll touch on the bottom three here. Um, well, actually, okay, so the bottom three I'll highlight first. I apologize, but these bottom three are probably what you're going to talk about in a health coaching session with your coach. That is related to your goal. The what, the where, the when. We're talking about the specifics. We're talking about the time oriented part for like when this change is needed or when it's starting or what is it that you actually want to change. Again, it's the specifics of it all. But these top three here, these can be a part of your arsenal. If you know the answers to these top three questions here, this is a part of the what you need for the growth part of your journey. Because as we achieve goals that we want to accomplish, whether we're really gun-ho to do it or we're really reluctant, like maybe we're being forced to, it just kind of depends on where you're at on that spectrum. But whatever, you know, whatever we're committed to, it's very natural for humans to kind of like lose their way if they don't have these core answers in their brain. You know, for example, like you're trying to get up early for the gym. Okay, when it's 6 a.m. and you're really tired, it really might be important to know why you want to change. Why do I want to change? You know, and think about those answers because that's what's going to be getting you out of bed. It's not the actual alarm that's going to be getting you out of bed. It's going to be that answer in the back of your head. That's what's going to keep moving you forward. I'm going out of order here, but how important is it that I want to change? Now, that right there is the first question because that is really nothing else matters if the answer is not really. Then this entire workshop and the entire meeting you might have with a health coach, it's kind of pointless after that because if it's not that important that you change, that then okay, there's nothing we can really do at that point, and that's okay. Not everyone is ready to change or wanting to change for whatever reason, and that's up to them. It's their life, it's their choice. But that is the most important one. So if the answer to the first question is yes, it's very important, then okay, then you're good. Continue to ask yourself the rest of the questions. And then the last one I didn't touch on, who am I doing this for? And sometimes people start off with this question being my spouse, my parents, my kids, my friends, my doctor. You know, they're all telling me I have to do this. I have to do this for them, whatever that change might be. Hopefully, as you go along in that health and wellness journey, the who ends up being you. So, who am I doing this for? It's me. That's who I'm doing it for because you care enough about whatever reasons that you have and nobody else. It's just about your reasons. That's who you want to do it for. So, keep these top three questions in your arsenal for those early mornings, for those times where you're really tempted to just kind of like, you know, do what you didn't commit to doing and, you know, okay, get those questions out. Why do I want to change? What's the why? What's the who? And what is the how in that there. And so I always like to finish with this last slide because I always like to say that no matter who's reading this, wherever you're at in your health and wellness journey, one of these is true for you of what you want to do. We all want something related to these three bullet points. So I'll just read them off here. If you want to A, set yourself up for real, long lasting success with your health and wellness goals, B, learn how to more effectively set goals to maintain healthy habits in the long term, and or C, completely shift your mindset and outlook on your health and wellness journey for the better, then sign up for a consult with me. I know we also have a couple of other health coaches in the company, but if you really like what I'm saying, if you feel comfortable, talking with me more and you're curious to what I can help you do, then sign up for a consult. You're free to email me. If any of these three relates to you, you're free to email me, you're free to reach out, because Keneva Fitness does do health coaching. That is a part of our company and what we offer for you as a member. And so we sell them, and we sell health coaching packages, and just for your information, in 45 or 60 minutes, and also in single 6-packs or 12-packs. You can always talk to your Keneva general manager if you have more questions regarding pricing and scheduling. Talk to them about, this workshop. Say, hey, Haley said I can have a free consult. So can I do that, please? And they will certainly be in contact with me to get that going with you. Or again, you can just email me at this email. This is my email here. for Kenema. And so just reach out if you really liked what I was saying in this presentation. If you want to get started, if you want to talk more, that consult is going to be even more specific towards you. I've been talking towards a very general audience today. And so that consult, that 30 minutes is going to be all about you, your specifics. What can we dive into? What goals are we going to set? Or again, it can be even more about, talking with me more about like what health coaching is and what questions you might still have, concerns, things like that. Um, and so that is all I have for you today. It was great meeting with you all. I hope this was a very beneficial conversation or workshop for you. I very much enjoyed being with you today. I thank you for your time and your attention. And when you're watching this, I know it'll be the new year. So happy new year. I hope your holiday season went well, and I hope you're ready to tackle 2024 like no other year you have before. So thank you all again. And yeah, have a great rest of your day.